All right, today, big indictment drops involving former members of the NBA, players, gamblers, mobsters, poker games. Let's talk about the mobsters involved in this. As I've talked about time and time again on this channel, the Mafia is absolutely still alive. I know this comes as a shock to many, but if you follow me here on all my different platforms, you know that. Let's get into it. Now, the pick of the litter in this is alleged Bonanno crime family heavyweight Ernest Aiello. He has an ear to the boss in this family. His cousin is alleged Bonanno boss Michael Mancuso. Aiello has been involved with gambling for years. He also has been somewhat of an enforcement arm for the Bonanno family. He's allegedly taken part in multiple assaults on behalf of allegedly Mancuso. Another familiar name in this case is Lee Fama. Lee Fama is the brother of Gambino crime family captain Danny Fama. The Famas are from Brooklyn, and Fama is an alleged made guy in that group. He's a big poker player, from what I understand, knows a lot of people. I think kind of helps probably get players for this, that sort of thing. Lee's actually won a ton in cash games as far as I know, and some pretty big poker tournaments. Another big name you'll hear is Tommy Juice Gilardo. Gilardo, from what I've heard, has been throwing around a lot of money. He's been involved with a lot of big-time things in this case. He was arrested about 10 years ago for involvement with a porn star. There was a lot of kind of concerning things going on in that. He's got a long arrest record. And actually, at one point, I heard he was dating one of the Mob Wives castmates. Another person in this is Angelo Ruggiero Jr. He's an alleged member of the Gambino crime family. He's actually the son of Angelo Quack Quack Ruggiero, one of John Gotti's boyhood friends and closest cohorts during the 70s and the 80s. Also arrested was alleged Gambino captain Joe Lonnie. Lonnie's been in the news a lot recently. Last week, he pled guilty in a separate case. Now he's involved in this case. It just keeps getting worse for Joe Lonnie. Another pretty interesting name in this indictment is Nicholas Minucci, a.k.a. Fat Nick. Fat Nick, I know, moves around in gambling circles, but spent 15 years in prison after in 2006, he beat up a black man in Howard Beach after Minucci discovered that black man was attempting to rob vehicles in the area. It was a huge story in New York City. It was a whole racial thing, big thing. He did 15 years, and it seems like he's still involved in gambling and the mob. And I have heard at one point he was a collector at one point. This is a big story, and it involves mobsters. It involves high-level poker games and NBA players. Big thing. We're have to remain to be seen what happens next with it. But the charges have dropped. When I learn more, I'll let you know.
You know, they'd get in there over their heads. They'd come and see me and say, hey, I guess you didn't know, but, you know, this is my operation. You're gambling with me. So here's the deal. You owe me $250,000. How are you going to pay? How are you going to pay me back? You got a rich uncle? Go rob a bank? I don't care what you do. Bring me my money. You know, you see they're scared. Say, all right, I got another way to work this out. Here's how we're going to do it. Okay? You're a quarterback. Okay? You're favored to win by 10 points. The first 3 times you get the ball, you put it in the hands of the other receiver. Put it in the defensive men's hands. You're a running back. You get the ball, you put it on the ground. First 3 times. You let me worry about the rest. You're going to do this until I tell you you're not doing it anymore. That's how I'll get my money back. What are they going to do? They're stuck.
And they always did that. They
had to
shave points in order not to pay back their gambling debt.
They had no choice. Pay your debt. You're not going to get away with it. You owe a gambling debt you have to pay. And if you don't pay, there's serious consequences. So,
happy Friday, everybody. VANSILK, common sense. So I made a video this morning about this whole NBA scandal. But let me go back. Let me bring you what's really going on. First of all, let's just say this is a clown show right now. This is something to sidestep everything that's going on right now with the government and the Epstein files and everything. Okay? Because I'm going to tell y'all something. And I'm going to say this to y'all who understand the real and recognize real. Cash Patel runs up there yesterday. Hey, yo, Cash Patel, this has been going on since last year when y'all wasn't in office. Jontay Porter was banned from the NBA for gambling last year. the NBA already had an eye on Terry Rozier with the Miami Heat. They already knew that. They knew the information already. But see, the smokescreen was distracting news organizations for this week and next week, basically, because y'all want to sidestep the shutdown. Now, here's the funny thing. All you news organizations that cover regular news, stay away from the sports. Because if you think Chauncey Billups was the scapegoat, was he arrested for gambling on NBA games? Or was he arrested for the poker? Damon Jones, passing off information about LeBron not playing, okay? Terry Rozier, I know the games and seen the games. But this is bigger than the NBA. Go to the college. A lot of college games, players, WNBA players, point spread. They tell a player don't score, this in the huddle, the referees are on it. But here's the funny part. The Bonanno crime family and the Gambino crime family. You got Aiello and Lonnie. How come they're not in the forefront of this? Street capos for the Bonanno family, Momino and Ernie, Aiello, why aren't they in the forefront like y'all have Chauncey Billups and everybody else? Because you know why? Because you know better. Stephen A. Smith talking about, oh, Donald Trump is going to come after. No, he's not. That's the last thing he wants to do. Because remember, he owned the casinos in Atlantic City. And you ain't playing that game like that because you don't want a whole bunch of can of worms to really get open. You want to open some worms? Play. Play. Go ahead and play. Play that game. This is just a smokescreen because they don't have no big names yet. I doubt if any big names is going to ever come out of this here. Those who might have snitched and didn't get indicted, so-and-so, they probably was low-level players. If the biggest name you got right now is Chauncey Billups, okay, Chauncey, you know, it is what it is. Damon Jones, all right. Terry Rozier, okay. But you ain't got no superstars, no big names. You got two mob figures. What y'all gonna do, this is gonna be pushed off for 2 or 3 years. But y'all just need the smoke screen right now while Letitia Dane was down in Virginia. The New York Attorney General was going to court. You want to take the destruction and the demolition of the East Wing and everything going on with the government, and you don't want to come with this on a Thursday about the NBA players and the scandal. And y'all came with Chauncey Billups. Y'all came with. Ain't like y'all came with, no disrespect to Chauncey, but ain't like y'all came with real superstar big name. Now y'all did get Gilbert Arenas on his shit, but see what y'all expect when you got FanDuel and DraftKings and Hard Rock Betting Online and all these companies that are involved with online betting. The players today are smarter. It was great that the college didn't let these players have NIL deals, but a lot of these players are not going to get an NIL deal. They need money, and they're going to sit up here and do what they need to do to take care of their family, pass a message on, or miss some shots, or do what they got to do. But I know how the mob works. But I'm looking at how the card readers, how they're reading the cards. Are these mechanisms inside the casinos? If they are, if you really want to make this a big scandal, Cash Patel, and y'all talking about poker, did y'all go and investigate any casino to see if they was using those mechanisms to read cards? The only legitimate person that I'm going to listen to right now is Michael Franchese and Sammy the Bull. All you other ex-mob bosses and all, y'all chill. Y'all chill. Trust me when I tell you that. Michael Franchese, he knows. Okay? But here's the problem. Y'all ain't really talking about Lonnie and Aiello from the Gambino and from the Bonanno family. Why aren't they in the forefront with them? If they was part of this, make it. But you know what? Here's the narrative. Chauncey Billups, the NBA, Adam Silverstein went and talked to McCaffrey, whatever his name is, 2 days before. They needed something to get the heat off the government. Now they're gonna say all sports. Oh, Steve, Trump is gonna come after the NFL. Hey, yo, Trump ain't coming after nobody, because the last thing Trump needs to do right now is have anything involved with the mob. Now, Cash Patel gonna do a limited, but he ain't gonna go hard. Trust me when I tell you, because you playing in the lane that there's a whole lot of people. If you think the Epstein files is gonna be crazy, go ahead and play in that lane and see how many people's names is gonna be in them books. Okay? You don't want that. Y'all thought the mob was going, nah. Mob was going down online just like everybody else. But I tell you what, Trump is not touching this with a 10-foot pole. I bet you he won't even comment on it. You know why? Because he already been told by the real bosses that run this world, shut the fuck up. You got nothing to say about this. Let Cash Patel, we always can use him. He could be replaced. But I'll tell you what, you'll chill, you'll watch, and you'll see what go on. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be a big thing and not a little thing. And we're going to figure it out, because we're going to know that all this was a smokescreen. And the smokescreen is to let people know, hey, we ain't worried about the government. We ain't worried about this and we ain't worried about that. And at the end of the day, it's all going to come down to 2 or 3 years in the background, and ain't nothing really going to happen. And at the end, watch. Check this out. And everything I'm saying, we're going to sit back and we're going to watch. Chris Cuomo did a great thing. And at the end of the day, we're going to keep it moving. VANSILK. Common sense.
What's going on with the FBI arresting Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier? Well, there are 2 separate cases. Billups was arrested in an FBI investigation called Operation Royal Flush for his alleged involvement in illegal poker games that were rigged by the Mafia using special glasses and X-ray poker tables to see other players' cards. Yes, really. Billups was involved as one of the faces of the operation. Major organized crime families such as the Gambinos used the legitimacy of playing poker in a game with a famous face like Billups to lure unsuspecting gamblers into these fixed poker games where they ultimately lost over $7 million. Then there was a totally separate FBI investigation called Operation Nothing But Bet that arrested Terry Rozier and former NBA player Damon Jones for a scheme to place bets on NBA games based on non-public information. In short, betting on rigged games. It was mostly stuff like betting on a player's unders when that player is secretly planning to pull themselves out of a game early due to injury or illness. Terry Rozier is alleged to have facilitated bets on his own under stat lines when he knew he was going to pull himself early, while Damon Jones is alleged to have passed on non-public injury information about LeBron James while he was working with the Lakers star as a personal shooting coach during the 2023 season. Jones was not employed by the Lakers, and LeBron is also not accused of any wrongdoing. However, this is the same FBI gambling investigation that charged Jontay Porter last year for also betting on his own rigged under stat lines. Porter received a lifetime ban from the NBA and will be charged this December after pleading guilty. Currently, the NBA has placed both Billups and Rozier on immediate leave from their teams, and the Trailblazers have named Tiago Splitter as their interim head coach.
One of the mobsters arrested yesterday in a wild scheme involving poker games and NBA coaches has issues. And I think one of the problems that I noticed with some of the defendants in this case is some of the behavior of them, I believe, led to not only investigations into them, but made it pretty easy for the feds to see what was going on here. Generally, in Fed cases, they begin with a certain informant and or a tip. Then they look through the bank accounts of these individuals. I talked to someone with intimate knowledge into this case that is in the life, and he told me, and this was his quote, "Fucking Tommy bought all these cars." And essentially, Thomas Gilardo was acting ostentatious, buying a bunch of shit, and flaunting his wealth. Now, according to information that I have, it's been uncovered that Mr. Gilardo has multiple bank accounts, one of which has at least $500,000 in it, and Mr. Gilardo has no source of legitimate income. Throw in the fact that he purchased a Lamborghini SUV with a down payment of over $100,000, which he also makes $5,000 monthly payments for that vehicle. Now, this is not the only luxury vehicle that Mr. Gilardo owns. He also has a G-Wagon, which is a nearly $200,000 car, and he does not have a job. This is how the feds put this stuff together. They look at these defendants, they say to themselves, how does this person have all this stuff, but he doesn't have a job? Now, this is not the first time Mr. Gilardo has been involved with the police and or the feds. At one point, about 10 years ago, he was dating a woman called Trista Geyer, who was in Playboy and Hustler, and Mr. Gilardo couldn't take the hint and was jailed for repeatedly violating a restraining order that Ms. Geyer took out against him in one day, calling her over 60 times. Now, he was arrested in 2013 for allegedly assaulting Ms. Geyer. At one point, Thomas Gilardo, who doesn't seem to have trouble with women, that's one good thing for him, he was actually dating a woman called Marissa Jade, who at one point was a castmate on Mob Wives. Marissa Jade has shared various photos with Thomas Gilardo. Tommy Gilardo definitely did some things that were on the auspice of the feds. I will also point out, according to sources that I have, around a year ago, due to some of his wild behavior, it's been discussed that Thomas Gilardo has been chased from New York, which essentially means that no mob family will deal with him, including the Bonanno crime family, who at one point were dealing with him. Last I heard,